Hello and welcome to this review. Now as for the Day of Reckoning 2 review, I am working on it. I thought I would upload this review just as something to hold you over for now. Anyway, this game is WCW versus the World. It was released back in 1996 in Japan, but it wasn't released until early 1997 for North America, and strangely enough, it took almost 1 year after that to release this game in Europe. This game was actually called Virtual Pro Wrestling in Japan. Honestly, I don't know if that's the actual artwork cover for this game in Japan. If anyone knows what the Japanese art cover for this game is, please leave a message out. I don't give a shit about what the Japanese art cover looks like at youstupidasshole.com. Thanks. This game was developed by Hasmic Ace Entertainment and The Man Breeze. The Man Breeze. I'm not kidding. That's the name of one of the developers. The Man Breeze. Okay, let's just let that sink in for a minute. I couldn't find a logo for the Man Breeze. It's not on Google, nor could I find a logo in the intro of this game, like all the other developers. I did see this one though. Coco Pili? Pili? Something? But no, nothing for the Man Breeze. Google Images just comes up with men's fragrances, which is called Yacht Man Breeze. If the Man Breeze sounds weird to you as it does to me, then my friend, you are not alone. This is the only game that the Man Breeze developed before changing their name to Aki. That's right, the developer of some of the greatest wrestling games of all time started out with the name The Man Breeze. Well, if Aki had anything to do with this game in retrospect, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, this is the first WCW game for the PlayStation. So it will be interesting to see the humble beginnings that WCW had for the PlayStation. Can't say the same about Aki though. No, not with a name like The Man Breeze. I'll shut up about that now. Okay, hold on a minute, what does it say? All rights reserved. Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, and Hulkster are trademarks of Marvel Entertainment Group Incorporation. Are you serious? Imagine if he was with Marvel now. Imagine Hulk Hogan and the Avengers. Hulk Hogan running wild in the Avengers. What you gonna do, brother? That would be actually kind of cool to watch. I'd actually watch that. You know, I think this game starts off with something that must have blown the minds of many children, and perhaps even adults at the time. Full motion video intro. This wasn't really seen before back in wrestling games, and this was easily one of the best ways to hype up a wrestling game back then. It's so well edited and the music is kick-ass. It reminds you of just how exciting WCW was at the time, especially since they were fighting with the WWF. Yeah, sorry I can't actually show you or even play the music. It's because of, this little son of a bitch right here. Anyway, let's carry on. The menu is very straightforward, but you do have what I would say is a very surprising amount of options to choose from. There are actually quite a few match types to choose from, given just how old this game is. Now this game only supports one-on-one match types, but surprisingly enough there are actually enough options here to stop this game from getting old very quick. Hell, you can even name your own championship belt. Let's check out the roster. And, wow! This game actually has a lot of wrestlers to choose from. Apparently this game has 51 wrestlers to choose from, and there are still more wrestlers to unlock. But, that being said, there are some bad things that people didn't like about the roster. For instance, while this game keeps its promise by being able to select many wrestlers from outside of America, there really isn't many wrestlers from WCW to choose from. No Scott Hall, no Kevin Nash, etc. But they did include Lord Steven Regal. It's actually good to see him not being underappreciated. So what is the actual game like? Well, the graphics is something that I think a lot of people are going to harshly criticize. But keep in mind, for all those young whippersnappers out there, back in 96 and 97, these graphics, they weren't considered bad. Now, there are other examples of fighting games that came out beforehand that looked a lot better than this, sure. But these graphics still sufficed. You can make out who the wrestlers were, and the ring looks good, and so do the crowd. I mean, they don't move or anything, but at least they look like a crowd, which is more than what I can say compared to these insipid games. Yes, the character models look rather blocky, sure, but they move very fluently, and almost all the animations look really good. Just like in the later Archie wrestling games on the Nintendo 64. And no, I'm not gonna call Archie Sin Sophia, so please don't ask. As for the controls, they are for the most part pretty good. Not perfect by any means, but it's still very playable. In fact, it's very similar to the Nintendo 64 games. While the controls may seem familiar, they are still in its infancy compared to those games. You see, the controls are actually a bit slow. They are delayed, which as you can imagine is kind of annoying. You can do some grappling moves, but it doesn't have the same grappling system you see in the later games either. Yeah, I know. It's unfair to compare this game to the Nintendo 64 games, but it's still the best way to make you understand what it's like. Each wrestler has their own moveset, and even their own reversal animation, which I found to be very cool. This game has a good amount of moves to utilize, but you'll have to play through every single wrestler if you want to see them all. The sound effects in this game are not particularly good. Some are okay, but most of them do not sound very, authentic enough. I think having better sound effects would have made each move seem more devastating. The music is very stock sounding. I saw some comments saying one of the songs is from Street Fighter. Again, I turned off the music due to copyright reasons. Overall, this game was a good start for WCW on the PlayStation. Too bad that it had to go down the shit. But nonetheless, this game had a lot of great wrestlers and options to choose from. It had passable gameplay which made the game intuitive and fun for the most part. Is it perfect? No. Not even for its time was it perfect. But it does introduce America and the rest of the world to overseas wrestlers that they might not have heard of otherwise at the time. Even if due to copyright reasons some of the wrestlers in this game had their names changed. Not only that, but this game pretty much paved the way for its unofficial successor, which is WCW vs NWO World Tour. Which as we all know how well that did. So would I recommend it? It's worth a try, only if you're extremely curious. But don't expect much from it. Hell, I know some people back then who couldn't stand this game. That's all I have to say about it. Don't forget to like the video and please subscribe. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers. Adios. Just a little side note. During editing, I realized that I forgot to talk about the spirit body thing in the corners. I know that if I don't mention it, somebody will point it out. So, what that is basically your momentum indicator. You see, the Japanese believe a lot in the power of spirit. So you perform wrestling moves until your spirit body turns white. Yeah, white. I don't know why white. But when it does, you can perform your special move. That's pretty much all it does. So yeah, this is the proper ending now. Sorry for going all Return of the King on you. Goodbye.